Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohioan. So today we're doing a very interesting scenario that I've seen a few people do, but I want to do my kind of take on it, and that is the what if Donald Trump ran for president in 2012? Now this would be a very interesting scenario because Barack Obama, it's kind of up for debate how beatable he was in 2012. A lot of people say that the Republicans pretty much blew it. That someone, either Ron Paul or Rick Santorum, could have beaten him handily. But a lot of people also say that Obama, although his approval rating might have been just about average, that he was still well liked enough to easily cruise to victory, even with a strong Republican. I think that what we've seen based off of trends and whatever, I do think Obama was beatable. But I really think the only person that could have beaten Obama was maybe Ron Paul, but very narrowly. But if Trump ran, of the Republicans, I mean, of course, I mean, there's other people who could have beaten him, such as Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, I think he could have beaten Obama in 2012 if he ran a good campaign. If he ran more of a, but if 2016 Trump, honestly, what probably had a good chance of beating Obama in 2012. The economy was pretty much stagnant. Um, a lot of people are still upset about Obamacare, so yeah, I mean Trump could run on Obamacare to get the Republican base fired up because that's really what most Republicans cared about in 2012 at that point. Other than the main thing they focused on was the anti-Obamacare. So if Trump ran on an anti-Obamacare platform, that's really all he would have needed to get a lot of that Republican base out, and then he could also focus on those more populist um, agenda and economics and the Rust Belt that probably would have hurt Obama. So I do think that Trump's economic plan in 2016 and all that stuff, and even now to a certain point, would have definitely made him a threat to Obama. So with that, we're going to fill in the safe states for Trump. They include the entire, that whole part of the country, all of Nebraska except the 2nd District. I don't believe Nebraska's 2nd District was all that competitive um, in 2012. It might have been a little bit, but I think the Republicans still won it rather handily. And so with that, Trump also probably would have won Missouri by a safe margin, and obviously all these states. Indiana would have been very interesting. Indiana obviously went to Barack Obama in 2008, the previous election. But considering the fact that Romney won it by a safe margin, I do think that Trump would probably win Indiana by close to 15, if anything, especially with his Rust Belt appeal. Most likely South Carolina, Alaska, and probably Georgia as well. Romney carried Georgia by 8 points, and it probably would have been the last time Georgia was safe, probably just barely above 10. It would be interesting though. I could easily see Georgia being likely, but yeah, the fact that Romney running his awful campaign still carried Georgia by 8 points, I think Trump should be able to carry Georgia by a safe margin, probably just above 10. The state of Arizona, Romney won by 10. So Trump would obviously carry Arizona, probably by the exact similar to Georgia. Arizona would be pretty close just because of Trump's more neocon rhetoric. But I do think that in 2012, Trump maybe would have been a little less anti-John McCain. So he probably still would have won Arizona by a safe margin. It would have been close though. Actually, yeah, I'm not. Trump would have probably won Arizona by a safe margin. That's an interesting one though. I don't know about Arizona. Uh, Obviously, the entire West Coast, Obama won all these states by safe margins. Trump maybe could have made it interesting in Oregon, but really, I don't see him. I don't see a good path for him. All of these states, Obama carried handily. Illinois and New York, and probably Maine's 1st District. So with that, these are all the states that are semi-competitive. Actually, I do think Trump also would have won Texas by a safe margin. I'm gonna flip Texas and Arizona. Put Texas safe. Arizona is likely. Before that I was gonna kind of flip them, have Texas likely, but Arizona safe. But Romney easily won Texas, and so even with Trump's campaign, even with Trump's rhetoric, I do think he still would have managed to hang on to Texas by a safe margin, probably by around a little better than he did in 2016, probably by like 13, 14 points. Arizona probably would have just been under 10, about 9, and Georgia would have been just above 10 at safe. There you go. Kind of confusing. Those are all very difficult states to predict, under these circumstances. So now we're gonna go. Let's see. Should we go? Let's go east to west. We're gonna start instead of Maine. Um, Maine at large probably would have been likely for Obama, but I do think Trump would have very narrowly carried Maine's second district. Maine's second district is a very rural, working class, populist district. It went to Obama both times in our timeline, and in this timeline, if Trump runs, I think he does win Maine's second district very narrowly. It would have been close actually, but I do think that Trump's social, if he ran a slightly more social conservative campaign, and really focused on the economic issues, he would have managed to flip it. So yeah. So now we have the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire went to Obama by 8 points, 6 points, excuse me. So New Hampshire went to Obama by 6 points, and I think Trump would have made it a little closer, but I still think Obama wins it by a lean margin, just because it's a more liberal state. The fact that in 2016 against Clinton, Trump didn't win it, and it trended so far left against him in 2020, I just don't see him being able to pull it off. Uh, Now going to the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is an interesting state. A lot of these areas that Romney didn't do well in, such as Erie County, Bucks County, near Allentown, a lot of those areas are places Trump really did well in, especially those places south of Pittsburgh, and like the Appalachian part south of Pittsburgh. A lot of those places are places that Romney really did not do well in, that Trump would have done well in. And even with Romney struggling in those areas, uh, he still managed to make Pennsylvania competitive. Obama only carried Pennsylvania by about 6 points, and so with that, I really don't see why Trump could not flip the state of Pennsylvania. It would be a long shot, but then again, it did flip just 4 years later. And so with Trump's rhetoric and his economic stuff, and his economic views, I could see him doing much better in Western Pennsylvania, really getting that turnout out in Appalachia and on the Ohio border, and also doing much better around Allentown, as we weren't so polarized. A lot of those working class voters would be more likely to flip to Trump in 2012. My great home state of Ohio, I think that would probably be lean to Trump. Um, Maybe probably just around 5 points, just under five. Um, Maybe even likely actually. Probably lean because Obama's semi-populism would have kept a lot of the counties in the working class part of Ohio, would have kept a lot of those semi-competitive. But yeah. So Trump would have flipped Ohio, but it wouldn't be by the crazy margin he did. Probably closer in 2016, probably closer to around 5 points. Look instead of Michigan. Michigan is a state that Obama carried by 10 points. Trump would make it interesting, but I think it really would only go down to a lean, possibly tilt, but probably closer to lean. Obama would probably carry Michigan by about a point or two. Would have taken a huge swing and would have been taken a lot of people by surprise, as Trump would get that heavy turnout in the northern part of the state and a lot of the white working class parts as well. But I really don't think it would have been enough to flip it, especially with Obama being semi-populist. We're gonna kind of going off top. We're gonna go to the state of Wisconsin now. State of Wisconsin's interesting state. Obama carried it by 6 points, similar to Pennsylvania. So and but I just don't think Trump would be able to flip Wisconsin in this timeline. Uh, but it would have been much closer, probably by about half a point. But I think the fact that Obama was a semi-populist and he did have sort of that white working class appeal, especially in this part of the country, he would have narrowly hung on. Now, this was like a 2012 election against Hillary. I think all this would be red. But the fact that Obama was semi-popular among the people in the Rust Belt, I do think that Trump would have narrowly lost Wisconsin. The state of Minnesota is a state that Obama carried by 7 points. I think similar. I think it would have been lean to Obama. Trump would have maybe made it a little more interesting, but I really don't see a way he can. I really don't see him pulling it off, um, and making it all that competitive. Probably by around a little more than Wisconsin. Probably closer to like 2, 3 points instead of half a point in Wisconsin and a point in Michigan. State of Iowa, however, I do think would go to Trump by a lean margin. Iowa was a state that Obama carried by 6 points, similar to Wisconsin, but Iowa was seen as be a little more competitive than all those states, and Trump's white working class appeal would probably help him out a decent amount in the state of Iowa. And so I do think that he would win the state of Iowa, especially if you look at the Driftless region. That's a place that Obama did very well in. Trump could make that a little closer, maybe gets higher numbers in the western part of the state. I see no reason he can't flip Iowa. Nebraska's second district, I'm probably going to put that as a tilt to Trump. Uh, I don't know. It would have been close, but probably not. Probably would have been similar to the margin it was, but just to Trump. So instead of Virginia, that's probably going to be a lean Obama state. Trump's populist appeal really wouldn't help him all that much in Virginia. He would have done a little better than Romney. Maybe Not he probably would have done about as well as Romney did. Maybe about a point worse. Probably lose it by about 4 points, 4.5. But yeah, I don't. Trump's populist appeal would help him a lot in the Rust Belt, obviously, but not in states like Virginia. State of North Carolina, a state that Obama won in 2008, 2008, probably would lean to Trump. Romney managed to flip it back. Pretty much any state that Romney managed to flip back in 2012 would go to Trump, obviously. Romney carried it by about 2 points. I see Trump carrying North Carolina by about closer to 3 or 4, but still not a huge margin, but still flip back and outperforming Romney. The state of Florida is a state that really should have been won by Mitt Romney. It was, even with Obama's popularity and good campaign, it still only went to Obama by like 70,000 points. I think less than a point. It's like 0.9. So I see no reason Trump cannot get some really do better, outperform Romney in the Panhandle, do a little bit better in Miami-Dade, that part of the state, and especially with his maybe anti-socialism. I mean, that's obviously not my preferred strategy, but it would have helped him in 2012 with Obamacare, comparing it to maybe like socialism and all that. Would have helped a little bit in the Miami-Dade area, probably allowing him to win the state of Florida by a little more than a point. But yeah, Romney should have. There was no excuse for Romney losing Florida. He should have won Florida. And with Trump on the ballot, and Trump's just got that thing with Florida. He's won it both times by much bigger margins than most people expected. So I just do see Trump winning in the state of Florida. The state of Colorado, Obama carried it by like 5 points. Trump may make it a little closer, but really I see it still being a lean D state, probably maybe by about pretty much by the exact same margin. I don't see Trump making a lot of inroads with white college educated women in Denver. New Mexico, Trump could have made it a little interesting, possibly start that Hispanic turn to the right a little sooner. But still, Obama was very popular. He won it by 9 points. So I still see Obama winning it by a lean margin, probably around 4 or 5 points. If Trump really ran on that pro-oil kind of agenda if Trump did run on a pro-oil agenda, which I assume he did, he'd probably make it a lot closer. He'd probably force the Democrats to spend some time and some money in New Mexico. But I do think that Barack Obama still would have hung on just because he has that minority appeal. So oil, Trump, the rural areas would have gone heavily for Trump, especially the oil areas. But inner city, Albuquerque, and the suburbs of that, which are mostly Hispanic and college educated, probably still would have gone to Obama, making the state a little closer, but still ending up in Obama's corner. Nevada, I also think, would have gone to Obama by a lean margin. Not much to say. In our timeline, Obama carried Nevada by 7 points, about 7 points. So Trump would have made it a little bit closer, similar to Colorado and Minnesota. A lot of these states, Trump would have made it a little closer, but really not super close. So with that, we have the 2012 election if Trump ran against Obama. An interesting map. I really think that states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Wisconsin are pretty much pure toss-ups. They could really go either way because they would just be very difficult to predict. And similar story with maybe I don't know, Florida. Obama could have maybe done a little bit better in Florida. Obviously he won it, but that's really, I think, a fluke. I think the Republicans should have won Florida almost no matter what in 2012. So with that, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you agree and disagree with. Be sure to like and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.